Mr. Alvary, this is Igor Kipnis.
Hello, who is talking?
Igor Kipnis.
Pardon me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, but who is it?
Igor Kipnis.
Oh, Mr. Kipnis?
Yes.
Oh, I'm certainly very happy. It was for me like a festag, but
well, I'm sorry that I'm calling you after you called me.
So often do I think of your father, because that is something which happens only once in a century.
Well, let me tell you first of all why I'm calling, but I think you know that since I wrote to you. And what I badly need are any reminiscences that you may have. Any anecdotes?
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
Any anecdotes, things, let's say, that might have happened at the Met, or I know that you sang with him also in San Francisco.
You see, I had a very bad accident in Brazil, and I cannot walk now, only with a wheelchair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But this certainly doesn't change at all my endless admiration for your father. And I'll tell you something very interesting also. I remember that when you came to be kind enough and played for me, for example, in Westport.
Yes, I recall it.
He was a businessman who was a great admirer of your father, and he always said, oh, Igor, that's the way he pronounced you, Igor.
Yes.
And I never forget that, because only he did that. And he was very interested in many things, but you realize that naturally a career like your father nobody ever can do. He was the only one, and there will never be any.
Do you remember any stories in particular that you think?
There are several stories.
Good.
For example, whenever he sent me instead of him, that was interesting. It was always successful.
Whenever he sang what?
He didn't go for the first time to Rio de Janeiro, and he presented me. To Cologne in Buenos Aires, and he presented me. He sent me to München, and I had to make an audition for Erich Kleiber.
Mm-hmm.
And Erich Kleiber engaged me, and that started a very great career instead of Kipnis, and they accepted.
Could I just ask you? He recommended you to Erich Kleiber. Was that for Munich or was that for the Theater Cologne?
I had to go to Munich to sing for the Theater Cologne, and I was accepted. But then Reitner died. I mean, he died. Your father, if you remember, and I was the one who put there a great medal at Cologne, and also he sent me to several other places like as Arkel, as Quetzal, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually helped me all the way.
Do you remember any stories in particular of him on the stage?
On the stage in particular, I can tell you something. Never a more intelligent man sang those roles, and never anybody was so convincing as Alexander Kipnis. The only opera, yes, in which he had a certain kind of a competition. That was Boris Godunov.
Mm-hmm.
And that was only because he was an Ukrainian and not a Russian.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see, the Russians and even Bulgarians somehow expropriated Boris for themselves. But he was an excellent Boris, even if the Russian accent was not exactly from the north.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember anything when you sang with him in San Francisco? I have a feeling it was a Rosenkavalier, but I could be wrong.
I sang it in San Francisco, and I sang it in Buenos Aires instead of him. I sang it in the Metropolitan instead of him, and I sang well on everywhere, and I sang Quetzal in many places also instead of him, and I was extremely honored, because you see, they accepted his recommendations, and he was very happy, because he was a very nice man, and he was not an egotist, he was much less giving on than what he really deserved.
Mm-hmm. Are there any stories of things that happened on the stage in any performance that you can remember?
On the stage, nothing special happened, and I'll tell you why. One of the reasons is that very little could have said to him. He was absolutely an all-round artist, and then the greatest asset was the voice. You see, the voice quality. There are very few people whose voices are by themselves are so wonderful. Now, one of them is Zinka Milanov, with whom we sang quite a lot, and the other was Jussi Björling, and these non-Italians have been the best Italian singers, and Alexander Kipnis naturally is irreplaceable. For example, on the stage as Gurnemans, he just was Gurnemans, and he didn't have anything to use to it or to learn to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the quality of the voice was so great, and that is today not the case, because people sing musically, they sing with intelligence and so on, but the vocal quality of a Milanov or of a Jussi Björling or of an Alexander Kipnis is non-existent.
Tell me what he was like as a colleague on the stage or off the stage. That is.
See, I don't believe that ever anybody tried. I never tried to copy Kipnis, despite the fact that he showed me certain things which I should copy, and I should have done it, but I was too modest. I first of all, I could never imitate the sound of that particular voice. You know, that was why King Mark, it sounded perfect in Borisov. It was always the ideal singer in that particular way.
When you were in the same production, whatever it was, whether it was a Rosenkavalier or something else, what was he friendly or aloof off stage? Did he say anything?
We came to the conclusion that there might be a demand in one of his roles if he cannot do it. And then he discussed it with me, went over with me and said to me, I think that I'm going to recommend you. I recommend you instead of me. And that was the case in the Ox, because when Erich Kleiber died.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was just before Kleiber died?
Took over in the colony in Buenos Aires. Then he took me also to Berlin and to Stuttgart, so that actually everywhere they liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud to say that I did not replace Alexander Kipnis. I just sang my role, and I was as independently also successful because I didn't imitate. You know, imitations are not very successful.
Yes.
I would have never tried to go that I go instead of Kipnis. I said I go because Kipnis endorsed me.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what he was like backstage? What did he do in between the acts?
He did know who he is. He didn't have to say. If something was suggested to him which was not very logical or plain stupid, then he and I we had a very good laugh, but he certainly didn't change.
Was he friendly off stage?
He did not fight for any position. He didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
His position was absolutely unshakable. Who wanted a base is one thing, but who wanted Alexander Kipnis, that is something else.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't forget his very great culture in German songs. I mean, Brahms,
Mm-hmm.
for example, Schubert. That was very interesting. That Russian man was so extraordinary in these things.
Are there any other stories that you can remember that would be good for the book?
In this moment, I tell you, there is nothing which would be so fantastically valuable as it actually was, because in that time, Alexander Kipnis, also Ethiopian side, later on Cesare Sepi, they have been absolutely #1 people in their field. You know, maybe in his case even more culture. He had more culture than his so-called, I wouldn't say that they are his competitors, but the people did sing the same roles. He had more culture than everybody else. Not only because he was in Russian very at home, but, you know, Sasha Kipnis was a very big deal.
When you came to Westport, which I remember in my teens.
Right, you're not going to work on it, because you see, at the present moment, if you want to visit me, I'm very grateful, but I cannot go anywhere.
Oh, I understand. No. I'm just saying, at the point that
you already at least 10 times, because my accident was the 1st of April, and then 10 days later I received a letter already in America. And that was one of the first things that I left a message finally to call me.
Well, I was very happy to hear from you.
But when you ever want to see me, I'm with greatest pleasure at your disposal.
Well, let me just ask you one thing. When you came to work...
One moment, please. Will you
yes.
Tell it to me again? What you want to ask?
When you came to Westport to work with my father, I remember you worked with him on Gurnemans.
You see, this was not a normal relationship of a pupil and a teacher.
No, I know that.
Because it was much more, because nobody could teach like he by doing the thing to show it. Because nobody can imitate or sell his own ideas when he arrived with such a purely artistic conclusion as he. For example, his Gurnemans was not Alexander Kipnis as Gurnemans. It was the Gurnemans of Alexander Kipnis. That cannot be taught, and I gave up, you know, absolutely the Gurnemans, because I cannot listen to Alexander Kipnis in a lesson and then sing it in a much inferior way, because my voice quality never approached his. I was a good singer, as he said, but I was not a voice so phenomenally beautiful as his was. You understand that?
When you worked with him, what yes, I do. When you worked with him, what was your impression of him as somebody who was coaching or teaching?
And then, for example, in the Baron Ox, several things we did in a different way. You see, I was born in Hungary from an Austrian father, and my mother and I, we spoke only Italian, so that I was not that type of a Alexander Kipnis when I brought in my Austrian Viennese mentality. See, singing on that level as Alexander Kipnis is not an art, it is a personal art, very personal. He was absolutely unique and inimitable, and if I would have imitated him, I would have been wrong.
I understand. Well, you know, you've given me some very, very good things.
When are you in New York?
I'm sorry?
Pardon me?
I interrupted you.
I don't hear you.
No, I interrupted you. You were saying something.
All right, listen, I tell you what we do. In about 2 weeks, when you are in New York, the day before or the day 2 days before, you are going to call me and you have lunch in, and then I
Let me give you a call, all right?
then I can ask and more things.
All right. Listen, thank you very much. I have somebody at the door.
Pardon me?
I have someone at the door.
I'm sorry, you see, I don't hear very well.
No, I understand. I have somebody at the door. I will call you, all right? I will telephone you.
You can come also for dinner.
Okay. If I have to hang up at this point.
But anyway, you call me again and then you make an idea.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
All right.
Thanks for that.
All right. Goodbye.